You just have to make peace with the fact that like being on stage, doing the show, that's like such a small part, and like the 99% is it's really, all the nonsense you have to do, and just not even nonsense, all the stuff that just needs to get figured out just so that the show can materialize. I had the chance to play guitar in a production of the Lightning Thief musical, Percy Jackson.
Oh, cool.
And everybody else in that show was like a full-time Broadway pit musician, and they put sheet music in front of me, and I was like, the treble clef. I have not seen you in 20 years.
I remember you, my friend. I know,
it comes back fast. This woman handed my keyboard player at the time her baby. She was like, "You're our favorite part. Here's my..." And he was like so not ready for that.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Tribute Band Sessions. We not only have a great guest today, Alexis Babini, but I have a special guest host. Her name's Rachel DeBarros. You might have seen her on TV, either on the History Channel, the Motor Trend Channel, the Science Channel, and she has her own channel now, RachelDeBarros.com. But she's going to be helping today ask a bunch of questions, because why, Rachel? You are a Disney fan.
Super fan. I am a Disney super fan. I love the parks, all the movies, and shout out to all of my Haunted Mansion lovers. Definitely
what's the name of the band?
Thing. And the name of the band is The Little Merman and the Princess Pals. I had to get myself on this episode.
Well, we're going to ask a lot of questions to Alexis, but if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, like, comment. Anything you want to see from us, just put it in the comments. And then if you're listening, find us everywhere where you listen to podcasts, on Apple, Amazon, Spotify. We'll be there. Just download the episode. And where's Alexis? Let's get Alexis right here. Come on, Alexis, come aboard our Disney ship here. So welcome to the show. Thank you so much for taking the time out. And we have a million questions for you. We're not going to get to everything, but oh my gosh, where do I even start? I have to know your background in music. Give us a little bit.
Yeah, man. I'd love to get into my background. The first thing that comes to mind is my grandpa, Italo Babini, who we just lost this past year. R.I.P. Lived to be 96.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
He was a very renowned cello player in the Detroit Symphony Orchestra. Fun fact, you can hear him playing on a lot of Motown songs, because in the 70s in Detroit, that's where it was happening, where Motown was happening. So he was...
Yeah.
So you come from a classically trained musical family, or more jazz?
I know the little secret, Berklee, right?
Yes, I did go to Berklee many moons ago. Man, gosh, I like, but when I meet people who like just graduated Berklee, it's like, it's so different now, because when I was there, it was like transitioning from like a jazz academy to like the modern music hub that it is today. But yeah, just skip to generation. My grandpa that was very much like all about music. And this past year for me has just been a really fun journey, getting back to my roots, having done, the Little Merman for over a decade now and given most of my life to music. I'm like, where do I get this from? Why can't I just like, switch and have like a normal life? It's like, oh, it's grandpa's fault, because I have him in me.
It's in your DNA. Come on. I think that's a lot of musicians in their DNA.
Yeah, man. When he passed, he has a lot of like students and proteges. This gentleman, Brenton, who's the first cello of the Houston Symphony Orchestra now, was studied under my grandpa. And my grandpa's daughter, Susan, is a first chair cello for the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra. And so I just saw, just like through like the family and family friends, just a lot of stories of how like Italo, my grandpa, would be up till like 4 a.m, making like a bridge for his cello, because he made it with the cello. There's a very specific way like that all comes together. And yeah, he, it's just like, I just read the story about like how he's like naked in his apartment till 4 a.m, smoking cigarettes, making the bridge. And like, I'm reading this and I'm like, oh yeah, I was just up at 4 a.m, like getting my little guitar tones labeling my Mufasa lead solo thing for. So I'm like, this is what. So it's just been a really this past year for me has just been a very fun adventure in that.
You hit it. I mean, you're just a background. You come from that whole background where the family has that music built in, and it's great to hear that.
Okay, and where did you get that name? Okay, let's back up. Like, what made you? There's so many Disney movies, and I love that name, The Little Merman. I guess because you can have like a group of them, and I mean, I imagine you were thinking like beyond, like, okay, how am I going to build this and stuff? So, what made you pick The Little Merman out of like the Tarzan movie that you were talking about, Fantasia?
I think it just honestly, it just really just came to me one day. I was talking to this drummer I was working with at the time. We were on tour with the artist Aaron Carter, also rest in peace. And a lot of that tour was because he was on the Hilary Duff Lizzie McGuire show. That was something very celebrated. So it was a lot of like Disney kind of fans. And yeah, I was just sort of like, man, wouldn't it be so much fun? Like, because I was all over that tour. I was like the opening act. I was in the show itself. There was a moment where like boy bands bring like a girl on stage and sit her in a stool, and then it's like acoustic guitar. I'm gonna serenade you.
So you were in a boy band part of this tour.
Oh my god!
And of course you got, well, it all like, it all begins to make sense because you already had that choreography. Like, I love boy bands because it's beyond number one, the music is catchy. I don't care what people say about boy bands. Anyone who says anything is, they're sitting there by themselves going, they're dancing to it. But not only that, the choreography that you have to do and the stage production. So I find that boy band musicians tend to be, or girl band musicians tend to be well-rounded in terms of, it's not just about vocal ability and it's not just about the performance, but the choreography and the production. So were you like already looking at a lot of the Aaron Carter stuff and, I'm going to put this in my pocket over here. I'm going to put this in my pocket over here for later.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go as far to say I was in a boy band. I was like acoustic guitar opener, and I somehow charmed my way into being included into like we did a performance for Fox News. And honestly, maybe I should have been like, you know what, I just got to do like dance moves and backing tracks. But no, like when I graduated from Berklee, I was very set on being like singer-songwriter guy. And a lot of these artists, I went through a really big like Bob Dylan phase, and then out of college, I was going through this like wallflower sort of like when like I wrote a song called "Shut Up and Kiss Me," which was like that was like the single I had when I was doing the shows, and I'm still really proud of that music video actually. So yeah, so then it was sort of just like, but to what you are saying, like I think in general that has just sort of been my mantra of like just being a sponge and being like, oh, what's this over here? Oh, okay. So like in this boy band tour, here's how they incorporate this into their show. And I think on a broader scale, like now that The Little Merman and the Princess Palace, by the way, that's our new rebrand.
Right,
As
right.
we like to
Yeah, I was going to get to
I
that,
saw
like
that.
how,
I
how
mean,
that
we like to
addition.
abbreviate.
The question for me is, your love for Disney music. Where did that come from? Because, everybody, we've been talking to on the podcast, love for rock and roll, love for classical music, it's just all over the place. And I always love hearing people's background, especially, Disney. Come on. Who doesn't love the Disney songs and how they're created?
Yeah, absolutely, man. So yeah, I'm a child of the Disney Renaissance. Like all the '90s movies was really shaped my childhood. I remember seeing The Lion King in the theater. I remember seeing Beauty and the Beast the first time I went to Broadway. And then yeah, like as you continue on, like like Tarzan wasn't a big movie for me when it came out in the early 2000s, but just like recently I went through this big like Genesis, Phil Collins, Peter Gabriel like obsession, because this is what I do when I get into music. So I just go all the way down the rabbit hole. And I think people, it's sort of like a meme online. People are like recognizing that like Tarzan soundtrack slaps all the way through. And fun fact, Phil Collins sings in every language that soundtrack. Like he did all the versions. So if you look on the internet,
Wow.
you can hear the Spanish, "You'll be in my heart and mi corazón." all Phil Collins. So just like, yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, when I started this band, I was like, yeah, I love Disney, and like, what a fun idea to get a rock band to rock out to the Disney songbook. And having done this now for over a decade, I learned that like, as much as I thought I was a Disney fan, like I've met people who just know so much, and I'm just, trying my best to really like honor, the fandom and the legacy, and just like, that it really means a lot to a lot of people. So I'm just, gratitude attitude about, being able to be the guy who gets to do this show, and people like let me do this.
Which is amazing.
Before you decided, okay, I'm going to go in the Disney direction, I imagine you were doing something else, perhaps another band or maybe a solo career, but something happened that perhaps you couldn't let Disney go. I could totally relate. And it just kept pulling you back in, where you thought, you know what? I think I'm going to, what is the thing that made you say, you know what? I am going to go all in, because that is brave. Whether you're doing like a Led Zeppelin band or any band, to go all in on somebody else's music and celebrate it.
Oh yeah, I have to know the band formation and the evolution, and how did you recruit your first princess? Come on.
How long were you just the Little Merman? And then what made you think like, you know what, if we added some princesses, this show could really, I imagine the reasoning behind it was like, yeah, we can cover more music.
Yeah, I think in its infancy, it was just me sort of like, I've done all these acoustic shows, I played in bands, and I just wanting to like experiment and sort of like find, I don't know, it just seemed unique to me. Like I almost hesitate to, I know this is like the tribute band podcast, but like, when we compare ourselves to like the Led Zeppelin tributes or the Bon Jovi's, like, to do like a Disney tribute, it's almost like, I don't know. I think when we do call ourselves the ultimate Disney tribute band, but I think it's, I don't know. For me, I just think of it like a little bit broader, because like we're taking a lot of these songs are like orchestral arrangements, and we're like rock banding it. So there's a little bit of interpretation. There's a little bit of like.
No, I totally get it, and you're absolutely right.
Yeah, but. Sorry, I'm avoiding your question. I'm like Dory. I say this on stage. I forget immediately what we're talking about.
We were just asking how you recruited. Like, did you go through a whole audition process? Like everybody knows that Disney recruiting process is, you have to go through some steps in order to be able to join their cast. Right. So for you, being what you do, how did you do your recruiting? And
it's a bit of an ask. It's like, okay, you're gonna join my band potentially. Not only do you have to sing, but you have to study the cartoon characters' moves, and also be willing to, I imagine, purchase a whole bunch of costumes, be able to change on the fly and do yourself up as close to the cartoon version as possible, which, let me tell you, is really tough to do, because I remember growing up either dressing like the Disney princesses, or my favorite is old sci-fi monster movies. But anytime that you try and emulate a cartoon, it's just, you're a human face. It's just, the cartoons have oversized eyes and cheeks, and it's a really tough thing to do. Like, we're not just interested in your voice. Here's a list of stuff you got to do.
Yeah, and performing in the costume. So when somebody comes into an audition, okay, here's what you got to do. So how does your audition process work?
Yeah, like, is there a percentage of people that was just like, yeah, this ain't for me?
Oh, yeah, it was funny. We rented this like audition room that we used. That day we were doing some harmonies with some folks we had already brought on. But across the hall, Disney Cruise Lines was auditioning for their people, and I was like,
wow.
I tagged them on Instagram. Like I'm always writing to Disney Theatrical and Disney on Broadway and Disney concerts, and we've been on the Disney website, but I'm always like, come on, let's partner more. But it's just really neat because we're just an indie rock band doing Disney. But yeah, in terms of auditioning people and like getting like the scrutinizing process, there's been a learning curve to that over the years. There's been a lot of folks who have been involved in, like, my main team for my 2023 season, which was like one of the first times we just toured a whole summer. And Chelsea, who was so involved, and now she's been in all these musicals, and she's started in The Heights. And so it's sort of been like a passing of the torch, passing of the baton. And we do have a lot of like systems around how we quote unquote onboard people into this job, this business, this gig, whatever you want to call it. I've learned there's like a really solid network of Broadway performers in New York City, off-Broadway performers. I actually, during our last quiet season, when we weren't touring as much, I had the chance to play guitar in a production of the Lightning Thief musical, Percy Jackson.
Oh, cool.
And everybody else in that show was like a full-time Broadway pit musician, and they put sheet music in front of me, and I was like, the treble clef. I have not seen you in 20 years since music school.
I remember you, my friend.
I know, it comes back fast. But anyways, a lot of those people like on that show with me, like that bass player in particular, like played in, the off-Broadway production of some show that was in development, and the guitarist plays in Six, and all these Broadway shows. And in the pit band itself, like our last drummer who filled in for Quinn, my first chair, Tanner, I just saw him last night actually at the show, and we got him from the Shrek tour. So then in this network, I'm able to be like, okay, so then instead of like auditioning someone, it's be like, okay, so this person toured like our new mermaid. She's been our main mermaid for the past year, Katie Emerson. She starred as Ariel in 3 different productions of The Little Mermaid. And so I'm able to kind of look at their thing and then sort of like, okay, I think they can do this. And then there's this sort of like that process of like, how bad do you want to do? Like, I know you would love to sing Rock and Roll Disney, but would you like be okay with hanging out in a 15-passenger van for 10 hours on our way to our one show in Ohio because for whatever reason, the touring, routing, we have new infrastructure and like new agencies and new tour managers now. So this is that now when we tour, it's a little more streamlined. There's always a level of chaos. And I've learned that just like most bands I've talked to are just like, I wish my agent was doing more. Most actors are like this too. I wish my agent got me better auditions. And it's just like, it's a tough business, man. You got to have that thick skin. But
it is. Even the big bands out there, that are on tour, it's no easy thing. I talk to them all the time.
Yeah.
In and out of buses, in and out of hotels, sound check. And even, the bands touring in vans, we've talked to them on the podcast. It's definitely, it's a thing, and you have to be built for it, or it can crush you easily if you're
mental
not ready
health
for
resources. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, at the same point, there is this, like, you're putting on a great show and you're getting paid for it. And there's something to be said about it. And the consistency of the work, if you can get in a band that keeps working and build it. We just had a band on that's doing I think they said 145 shows a year.
Whoa, what band?
There's 2. One is called Get the Lead Out.
I've heard of them. I've seen them.
Zeppelin band.
Very cool. I'm going to reach out to them and say, listen to their episode.
No, yeah, absolutely. There is another band, which is really a cool concept, I think, and it's similar to what you do, but different concept. They're called Tragedy. Did you ever hear of them?
Yes, this is Bee Gees, right?
Yeah, you're right. Bee Gees and metal. And they were so nice and cool, but yet you could tell the work ethic that goes into the shows. We did the interview yesterday, and they were in Europe, touring. They had like festivals to small clubs. It was funny. They went from like giant festivals to, he was telling me they played like 100-seat club. And he was like, one night we were playing for this giant place, and the next day it was...
That's very humbling.
Yeah, but they're touring in the van, and the same thing. You have to get used to it. So, for... your situation, having musicians come in and out, yet like you said, you want to make sure now, are you up for this? Are you up for the 15-hour drive? Trying to put them in that mental state.
And I think it's also helpful that you're sourcing from theater, because these are people that already have the acting, the performance, and the musicality already packaged in. So that's a huge thing that you don't have to train them on. And then it's really just the logistics of onboarding them into your set. Do you tend to play the same set? Because another question I had was, okay, you have this 15-person van, and each person is going to have their not only regular street clothes, but their slew of costumes. How do you guys like compress it all in the van without destroying all the costumes? You know, steamer, trying to get everything out, because that makes a huge difference when a band shows up and they're all like all wrinkly costume, like something that you bought at, you know, the Halloween store, versus something that even if you bought it at the Halloween store, but you press it, it's well fitted, it's, you know, legit looking.
Yeah, is that challenging going on the road? And then, you know, there's so many parts of going on the road. So let's talk about, you know, getting everybody lined up with a tour that you're doing. Is that you that handles everything from the management end?
That's funny you asked that. I used to like have this joke that no one thought was funny but me, and I was like, guys, I'm gonna get this tattoo. It's an inspirational quote. It says this: born to be an artist, forced to be a manager.
That's great.
Because I excel at like the creative kind of like big picture stuff. And when it comes down to like, oh, I have to be like admin and spreadsheets guy, like at the end of the day, like it's you know, the LLC and a lot of this does fall on me. We just started working with a new tour manager who I'm so excited about, who toured with this group Gogol Bordello and this punk band called Leftover Crack. And Jeff came in just on like the last 4 shows. And then it's also like I'm delegating and deputizing. Our merch girl Joy is her name is Joy, and she has truly been a joy. And so yeah, some of the admin stuff I can be like, okay, like would you mind taking a look at this itinerary to see if I missed anything? And then it's just sort of like making peace with the fact that because there's so many moving pieces, there's always something that's going to get missed, and just try your best, and the best you can do is your best, and just try and not freak out when it's like, oh, we forgot a costume. What do we do? You know, because there's always something that goes sideways.
It's always going to be something. Yeah.
And that's part of being a professional, like not losing your sanity when something, and just expect that things are going to go wrong. You have redundancies and plan Bs if somebody forgets their outfit. So yeah. And I hear you. I hear so many musicians where they thought it was all about the music and the creativity, and that's the fun part. But then like business comes in and ruins everything every time.
You just have to make peace with the fact that like being on stage, doing the show, that's like such a small part, and like the 99% of it's really, you know, all the nonsense you have to do, and just not even nonsense, all the stuff that just needs to get figured out just so that the show can materialize.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking of the show, I love Disney songs. So I just love the way they're written, love the way they're produced, from old to new. And you have 1 million songs. So how do you choose your set list? How do you lean towards the golden age or the modern hits? How do you, I mean, for me, I'd be like, okay, this is a 12-hour show, everybody, get ready. Hope your chairs are comfortable, you know? But all kidding aside, like I would imagine it's you that creates a set list, correct?
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of like a group effort. Everyone has their own little paintbrush, and we make the masterpiece together.
That's great.
We just added, one of the newer ones we added this past season was the Lilo and Stitch song. We'd never done Hawaiian Roller Coaster Ride. And that movie, I think, like hit $1 billion, and it's this great song that for years people have been like, let's do it. And in like the sandbox of like how we play with Little Merman, it's sort of like, we're going to do this song, but like we're going to find a fun way to do it as a rock band. And I in my head, I was thinking like, how do we do this? You know, there's a lot of Hawaiian words. And then I kind of figured out that if we kind of do it sort of like Doobie Brothers, like yacht rock, surf rock, then it kind of works as like a rock song, and it is less like the, and it's in the same key as the original. We don't really change much. We just sort of like, we found this like sort of different spin to put on the groove, and then there's a whole cute little outro we do because the show is interactive, and we're having, if there's a lot of kids in the audience, we're having them like surf and do like surf arms and
Oh, that's really cool.
yeah, it's a lot of fun, man. Like I always think about like if someone can't like because that if so like someone's first show if they saw us like last week, and that there's all these little like moments in the show, just like when we were talking earlier about like being a sponge and grabbing this and putting it in the show. Like I like a lot of like my favorite rock concerts, I'm just like, oh, that would little thing they did there, I think that would work in the Merman show. Like when Foreigner makes everyone, you know, I want to know what love is, and then they bring out the choir of, you know, I was like, oh man, we got to get a choir. Let's get a choir on our next one.
Got to do that, an orchestra, the whole deal. What about like, have you ever tried, and maybe you have and I just didn't see it, like mashups with other genres?
Yeah, I mean that's sort of what we're kind of like always doing most of the time. Like what would The Lion King sound like if it was like Bob Marley, or what would Moana sound like if it was the Police? And that's sort of where we start, and then over time we'll kind of like, or maybe you're talking about like mashups, like two different Disney songs, or a Disney song meets.
I am, yeah. I'm like talking about like actual mashups, like I know that that's the whole theme of the act of doing it your own way. But have you ever like mashed up a couple Disney songs?
Yeah. We're always trying to find fun little things like that. Let's see. One of the things that come to mind is we would do the song "Strangers Like Me" from Tarzan, and then after the instrumental section of the song, it becomes "When You Wish Upon a Star," and then we go back into the key change in the final chorus of Phil Collins.
Okay.
So yeah, just like I guess fun little things like that.
You get to do that. That's awesome. Is there like one song that always just is like, all right, it's either the encore or the close, or it's just a big song of the night? Or it's
The
a change
song-
from crowd to crowd?
Yeah, like the song you know is gonna crush. Like if the ship were sinking ever, you'd be like, bust out this song.
Yeah, a couple come to mind. "Let It Go," always like crushes. The Hawaiian Roller Coaster Ride, our new song, just feels really good. Also, in terms of like encore, there's like an outro song we do. There's also an intro song. I wrote some original music for the show that we just incorporated. There's now like a "Welcome to the Show" like theme song kind of thing. And I just thought that was really funny, just to pat myself on the back. Like songwriter brain snuck in original music into his cover band.
Well, you do need a "Welcome to the Show" song. I mean, that's very Disney.
Totally. And a lot of the Disney kind of shows, like there's a few Disney like musical review, like musicals that they sent out to schools. And most of those have like an original song to the show. So I was sort of like, it makes sense. And I think it honors like the Disney legacy for us to be. So yeah, there's the Little Merman theme song, THELITTLE. So it's like the letters already rhyme. This is perfect.
Right.
Yeah, so that was a lot of fun.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, I was gonna like, creating all the repertoire. Do you look outside the box and go, oh, I'm gonna look at these other tribute bands that are doing other things? Have you studied some other bands to go, what makes this Kiss tribute band so successful, or what makes this? Do you go outside the box and look?
My best friend from Berklee, and also from my childhood, a friend of mine, his name's Nat, and he is the founder of the 90s band called Saved by the 90s. They might be a great fit for this podcast. Saved by the 90s, they also perform under the moniker Bayside Tigers, and they've been doing their thing. Man, like when we graduated music school, it was like, I don't want to date myself, but that was in the early 2000s. And so at that point in time, the 90s was like, oh yeah, that was like a decade ago. And now it just keeps getting farther and farther away.
I know. It's like putting binoculars on, looking in the distance.
But with that said, 90s and 2000s is huge.
Yeah,
now,
it didn't always used to get
in
grouped
the
into
scene,
2000s. Like, I see what you just said. That it used to be like,
Yes.
remember the 90s? And now it's like, remember the 90s and the 2000 to 2010, because that was also
because that's what's out there. Yeah. And it's funny because I do understand where you're coming from. It used to be just 90s and then 2000s, but now it's like people are doing mashups of both years. So it's kind of incredible. Like, but your friend that does his band, do they do a big show?
Yeah, they crush, man. They and that was sort of what gave me the idea. Aside from Aaron Carter tour, and then finding an opportunity to loop in this. I don't think I mentioned this. The music charity I worked with. Our first ever concert was a charity benefit, and we've done a few more.
Yeah, let's talk about
Musicians
that.
on Call brings me into hospitals and healthcare facilities. A lot of pediatrics, so it really helps to have like a lot of Disney songs in my back pocket because they just started for a while. The pandemic had made it so that like working with them is over the Zoom. But yeah, bedside, they're taking me bedside to hospitals, having a hospital guy. Would you guys like to hear a song? Then I come in with a guitar. They're a really great organization. They're based out of Nashville now. And I did their gala this past year. They did some events with like Kelly Clarkson and the Jonas Brothers. It's nonprofit, Musicians on Call. Really great organization.
Everybody click the link below because we're going to list that.
All right, awesome.
And people will go to that. No, that's I love hearing that, and I'm supportive of that. That's amazing. I don't want to. I have so many questions, and I know Rachel, you had some questions too. But before, I don't want to run out of time, so I want to know really from like the first performance, where was that at, and then what type of venues do you play mostly? Because it's got to be across the board. I even know that you played to 30,000 fans, right? It's at a. Is it See Here Now? Maybe.
Wow. Yeah, very good. Wow. I'm impressed that you did your research, man. Yeah, dude. I mean, it's a little bit like that band you were talking about that will play huge festivals and then do 100-seat theater. The Little Merman and the Princess Pals are set up so that we can play a state fair or we can get an afternoon spot at a great big music festival, and also sometimes we'll hit a new city and they'll have sold 600 tickets just because the marketing was on point, the venue clearly communicated to everybody hey, this is a Disney band. We've also seen venues be come see the Little Merman and not say anything about how it's a Disney show, and so it's just it's hard for me to be I can't police all these cities to make sure everyone is marketing us right. So sometimes it's a surprise. It's wow, there's a lot of people bought tickets today.
And that's a good thing too. It keeps you on your toes.
Absolutely, yeah. I think in terms of what kind of venues, performing arts centers, nice theaters. We've done a bunch of the county fairs this summer, and that's a big range. County fairs can put us in arena, big, kind of amphitheater type stage, or depending on what kind of fair it is, you also could be sort of playing more of a barn type stage.
Yeah.
We just performed at
it's a little bit of everything.
Guild Hall in the Hamptons in East Hampton. And that is where Jerry Seinfeld performed, and all these on their wall they had all these huge names. And so
That's
I don't
amazing.
know if this came across tastefully, but on Instagram I was I filmed the story because they had us all sign the photo, and I was put our photo above Jerry Seinfeld. We're clearly the biggest name you guys have had. We're the Disney tribute band. Put us above all these other great names that I come to the theater.
Jerry comes in and goes, "Who is this?"
What's the deal with? Man, yeah, that's really funny.
What's the deal? Oh, that would be crazy. Has there been a favorite venue for you in your career with this band, or a favorite show?
Yeah, we have a graphic we send out called the Golden Trident Award for a mermazing venue. And I'm trying to think of we played this outdoor stage just outside of Chicago. That was a really, really special thing. There were all these little vendors and the Lamont quarries. Usually a good show means, just from where I'm standing, it's okay, we're gonna play this great big theater. Is there a dressing room that's air conditioned? Is there mirrors back there so that we can all get in our costumes? And then, yeah, it doesn't really take a lot. But man, now I'm trying to think. Okay, getting back to my grandpa, we played a show at the EFA Family Amphitheater of San Diego. Great big outdoor stage, and that was a special one for me because that's I got to visit my family on the West Coast. So and
That's
they're
awesome.
that the college is UCSD. Their mascot is the Tritons. Like a merman is literally like the team of the school
I
stage we were
love
playing.
that.
So
So
perfect.
there's a photo of us on socials of us all posing around like a huge statue of like King Triton. It's crazy. This is crazy. It's like serendipity.
Oh my God, that's amazing! And you've played internationally, right?
You know, we had like a Mexican resort thing that was scheduled and then that got pushed, and then there was some Canadian kind of run that is still in the works. So the second we do one, we're gonna say we're international now.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I got to hear about the differences between the U.S. audiences and the international ones. So we got a part 2 coming up, whether you
Asian
like it or
tour.
not.
Yeah,
We're going
let's
to
do
do it. Yeah, that would be great. Do you like the children react differently than the adults at your shows? Like, do you find, because there is some crazy Disney adults that just love Disney music, and and they're into it, which I love seeing.
Yeah, I mean, it's really like, we're bringing out like the young at heart, kind of like, the inner child of everyone. When it comes to like Disney adults, like there's this one great family, and we do his concert series on the Jersey Shore, and I think they've seen us like 28 times or something like that. Like they posted like, this is my 28th time seeing you guys. But yeah, man, kids are the best, dude. It's sort of like just seeing like that. We got this really sweet message from a mom who was like, my daughter saw you in Bloomfield. She's been talking about your band like ever since we came to see you. Like, and they're trying to see how it could work if we could do a birthday. So just like, it's really cool to see like, the show is sort of designed to be just like very interactive and very like, let's play along and let's sing along. And yeah, it's really cool to see, kids and also adults just like really lock in and connect. It's like, it's special and also a little vindicating because I believe in the show. And sometimes people will be like, I don't understand like what you're doing Disney songs, but you're like a rock band. Like, this doesn't make sense. So when people like get it, I'm like, sort of like, I told you this was a cool thing kind of thing. Yeah.
I got it as soon as I saw it. I thought it was amazing.
Oh yeah, I was
These
like, I'm
people
gonna put
get
on
it.
my haunted mansion
Oh, nice.
outfit.
Heck yeah. All right. Nice.
You have to have like stuff outside of this band going on, and that's got to be another balancing
Yeah.
act. So how do you make all that work? Because even like, every musician that we speak to that's on tour, there is something else going
Oh, yeah.
on. So how does that work in your world? Is it all done on the road, keeping up with everything, or you can't wait to get home and hit a supermarket and shop? Like, how do you balance it all? Because you're busy.
Yeah, man. I listen to have a really good therapist.
That helps.
We got the touring app that a lot of the major tours use called Master Tour. That's the touring app that Beyonce uses, by the way.
That's
The
awesome.
band got pretty tired of me saying that every time we had to look at the schedule. But okay, and then that company partnered with another company called Backline, which provides like mental health services for touring musicians, and they got a grant from Music Cares. And so there's definitely like some there's definitely some pointers there and some like strategies to be like, hey, like this is a chaotic lifestyle, but like here's what we've seen help if you like prioritize these 3 things and make sure you're talking to your family, make sure you set time aside for yourself. And yeah, like my life now is like pretty, we're going into we just left a very busy season and now we have some new representation, and I think the calendar is going to start to fill up pretty quickly here. But yeah, like I live in the Lower East Side of New York City. One of my best friends in this neighborhood like owns a record store out here, so I'm able to really like just these past few days, like just having like more than 2 days where there's not like a show coming up that we have to drive to some city. I'm like, yeah, I think ask me again next week. I'll be like a little like, okay, where how come where are all the shows? But right now I'm enjoying a little time off. Yeah, it's been pretty rewarding.
That's so good. You know, I love hearing that. For your fans that come to the shows, do you end up doing a meet and greet? Do they get to meet you guys?
Yeah, man. We're trying to. I think we're trying to like build that in so it's more like official. I definitely want someone who's seen us like 28 times if they want to have like a special like moment. Like I want them to get. I've seen other bands sort of like build that in. Right now, it's just sort of like if there's time. And if the venue is set up to do so, we'll just usually the band will come out and do like photographs and autographs. Cause yeah, it really brings me joy to connect with people and see like what they loved about the show. And it's just like very like, like on stage, I'm trying to like perform and make the show happen. So like, yeah, getting to connect with folks in that way, we're going to try and like factor that in a little bit more. Because right now it's just like
I would think
maybe
people would
there
want
will be
selfies with you. Like all the little girls would want Elsa.
Yeah, there's been a lot of like costume photograph time with the folks and their kids. Man, one time this woman handed my keyboard player at the time her baby. She was like, "You're our favorite part. Here's my," and he was like so not ready for that. Like he came from playing like intimate jazz gigs, and he comes on the show. I put him in a Woody costume, and some woman hands him like a newborn baby.
I love that. Was like, you guys should have taken pictures of that.
No, dude, I look at that photo of him, and it's one of my favorite things. Yeah, shout out to Ryan Slatko, man. He actually has a new jazz album coming out. Very virtuoso guy, and he's been special guest. He still pops in to Mermen World occasionally. Yeah, very talented guitar player.
I love hearing stories like that. How about like we're going to get a lot of musicians watching this podcast, and the one thing they want to know is how do I get started in a tribute band? Like, what do you tell me to do? Now, I know what to do, but I like them hearing it from somebody that's living it. You're out there doing it. Like when somebody says, "Hey, I want to start a tribute band," any suggestions?
Yeah, I mean, I think already, like starting a tribute band, I have so many things to say. Number one, I would be like, what, check in with yourself, like what is really exciting to you about starting a band? Like, are you sure like tribute band is your thing? Like some people like really enjoy just playing in a wedding band. And I would say, get specific with your goals. I read Arnold Schwarzenegger's self-help book, and it's very it's called Be Useful, and he narrates the audiobook.
I love that book.
He narrates the audiobook himself. Have you heard him do like
No, I actually I read the hard paperback version, so I still have that, and it's been on my reread list.
I have to. He's like, what is he? He's like, I'm recording in my house, and if my pig Schnelly comes in here, and my pig comes in and goes oink oink, you have to bear with me, okay? You need to visualize your goals. You have to be specific in your journey and think about what it is you want in your life, and look at yourself in the mirror and tell me what color eyes does you have. If you say blue or green eyes, this is bullshit colors. You have to look deeper. Sorry, I didn't know. Can we swear on the podcast?
Yes, I love that. That was awesome.
Now I have to now do the audiobook version. It's going to be so much better. Because I'll admit, when I was reading that book, I was like reading in his voice. I just couldn't, you just can't not.
Oh, he's the best. I mean, my uncle owned a bunch of gyms in Michigan, and I have a signed photo from Arnie in his like motorcycle Terminator. But yeah, I mean, so to answer your question, I would just be like, get curious, ask those questions, make friends with people in tribute bands, and ask them like, just like really, really like see what you can learn. And there's just like, one thing that keeps coming up is just like be like a sponge, soak up all the knowledge you can. Because there's a lot to learn. There's a lot, that you're gonna learn like on the job. It's not gonna be perfect. That takes time. But yeah, I'm really passionate about music. Like when I'm not on tour, I'm a music teacher. I'm a songwriting teacher, and I work with a lot of people who are like really young and experiencing for the first time. Like maybe I want to pursue a life in music. So it's not for the faint of heart, but it's definitely like. I think it's a really, special thing, and, something to be celebrated.
And I think you also, like you said, most of the time, you still need to wear both hats. If you're going to be a leader of the band, you need to have the musician side, but you got to have the business side, and the business side is probably even bigger than the musician side in order to have that success.
Yeah, man. Yeah, get put on that business hat.
And not a lot of people love the business side. What about the actual tribute band scene? Where do you see that going? Do you see it changing? Do you see it going somewhere? Myself, I definitely seen from, 10 years ago, some like your band, so creative. What you're doing is so different versus just a band throwing on regular clothes and playing Guns N' Roses and calling themselves a tribute band. There's no effort into it. Do you see the scene changing?
You need to have that Slash hat with maybe the wig underneath. if you're gonna be Guns N' Roses tribute band and your Slash isn't wearing a top hat, no thank you. That means you did not commit. I actually I was like this close to Slash. A friend of mine was a booker. We worked at a management company, and he got me an artist pass to Coachella, and I was at the Lana Del Rey show, like on stage, like backstage, like, and I was like, how did I get here? And I turn around, and it's like Slash is standing right next to me, and I had that moment. I was like, I could Slash, like, what's up? You're Slash, and I was just like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that guy. So I just saw him kind of like rocking out, kind of just like doing this, and I was like, hell yeah, dude. Sweet Child of Mine, his least favorite song, he said, but what a good arpeggiating guitar part.
Oh my God! Paul. To this day, big hit.
Which brings me to this question: what is your favorite song to sing of the night? Now, it doesn't mean now that it's a good song or the most popular song. Which is your favorite to perform?
You'll Be in My Heart by Phil Collins.
Regardless of any... Okay.
There you go. Instant. That was an instant answer, so that's the one. A great song, by the way. I mean, just incredible written song. To this day, I'll still put that on and I'll be like, holy crap, that's a good song. I wish I wrote that.
Close second would probably have to be... Oh, well, I had one ready to go, but I think, lately Circle of Life has been we kind of like reworked Circle of Life recently. I took that flute solo and I turned it into an electric guitar solo, and sort of like it got a little White Stripesy for a second there, and then we kind of dialed it more into just sort of like, I don't know, it feels like I saw My Morning Jacket a couple summers ago, and it kind of feels like in that warehouse. And then we have everyone hold up their little ones, like Baby Simba's on Pride Rock, before the final.
Oh, that's funny. That's awesome.
That's always a really, really cool thing to see audiences, and you see just hundreds of people just holding up their kids or holding up their hands.
Oh, I love that. Nobody drop anybody.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we don't have insurance. We don't have insurance for that.
Yeah. Don't drop anybody. All right, I know we're running out of time, so I got to get this in. What's ahead for Little Merman? Is there a Broadway run, world tour? What are we doing? We got to know.
Planetarium tour, Vegas, Sphere style concerts. There's a lot of really fun ideas.
Listen, you're saying stuff and it's not out of the realm. I mean, you could do an opener. Why not? They have opening acts.
We just announced Brooklyn Bowl on September 14th, and that's the room I've always wanted to get. I've performed it a lot of times with my friends in the 90s band.
So is that going to be in New York? Because don't they have a few of those?
I know. We're hoping to hit all of the Brooklyn Bowls. We hit all the city wineries.
Oh, great.
But yeah, Brooklyn Bowl, so it's going to be a family, we call it a magical matinee. And I think if that goes well, there's an option to do like a Disney After Dark style concert. But yeah, I just bowling and like Disney songs. Like I'm excited about that. I'm excited about, we have a bunch of just like sort of like fun little, like there's a Alice in Wonderland themed bookstore, and I connected with them recently, and I think we might just go there and like film a cool cover of the Golden Afternoon song with all my very talented harmonizing princesses. That movie holds up, by the way. If you haven't seen Alice in Wonderland recently, oh man, I just watched that again. That's like a fun little psychedelic journey.
Come on, that's a classic.
That's a
Yeah,
great
yeah,
one.
yeah.
There's so many things coming down the pipe. So
movie.
just a lot more fun stuff.
Well, you know what? We're like I said, part 2. I'm holding up
Okay.
2. We're doing
Cool,
part
count me
2
in.
with you. I have so many more questions that I didn't even get to ask. So where can everybody find you?
Yeah, just thelittlemerman.com, facebook.com/The Little Merman, Instagram, The Little Merman. On TikTok, we're just Little Merman because The Little Merman was taken by some 5th graders doing a production of Beauty and the Beast. So we had to drop the. But give us a shout online.
And we're going to list everybody look below. We're going to list everything. And Alexis, this has been great. I can't thank you enough. Hang tight, and we'll be right back.
Thanks for listening to Tribute Band Sessions podcast. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and drop a comment. Want more info? Sign up to our mailing list at tributebandsessions.com. It's the best way to stay in the loop on upcoming episodes, special guests, and behind-the-scenes stories, and all things tribute bands. And don't forget to follow us on all our socials at Tribute Band Sessions. Thanks for watching.